Thank you for being here and for being so open and sharing why that you're here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover those three things and put strategies in place that then you can use whenever you need to. It's about really understanding where those come from. And there are a lot of fears that are around us, and there's that fear energy, and I call it this fear mongering that goes on in the media, telling us all the terrible things that are going on. And we can still create that energy of looking forward, of seeing the positive aspects, really get in tune to that, because this is what I believe. So this is my opinion, my belief, is that there's multiple worlds going on simultaneously. There's a world of fear going on, and people that are in that, all they do is live that fear and see that fear. Whereas someone else, maybe a few steps away or a few blocks away or a few miles away, can be in a whole different world where they're bringing that abundance, they're positive, they've got lots of great people around them, they're attracting that. And so what's the difference? And then there's all those things right in between. So what's the difference? And I think it's we that can create that energy, that really great positive looking forward. I'm so excited, I just can't wait until morning, until I get up and start doing things again, working on that vision and moving forward. So it's these parallel universes that are going on. It's a choice as to which one you want to live in. All right, we're going to talk about the first obstacle to success, and those are doubts. And the number one way we sabotage ourselves is by projecting our fears and doubts into our dream. If your dream is still far out there and you know that you have quite a bit of ways to go, and you're standing here saying, what if I don't make it? What if I lose everything? What if, or what if, and what if? Guess what? You're projecting those fears and doubts into that future rather than saying, okay, I have this fear, I have this doubt. What can I do about it right now? The moment that you're in right now is the only time you can really create something or change something or shift something. You can't do it in the future. What you do right now will get you to that future. So what are you creating in this moment? Is it doubt, or is it vision and confidence? That's how we sabotage our dreams. That's the number one way. We do it ourselves, not someone else. We do it ourselves. And we are the ones that we can control with our minds, with our thoughts, with our energy. And we make up stories. We create, like the worst possible scenarios and say, oh my gosh, all of this, and I've seen that happen to them, and, this happened to me in the past. And then we start believing it because it goes into our mind. It programs us. Okay, this happened before, then it'll probably happen again, or this happened to so-and-so, so it might happen to me. And we keep projecting that out, and we start believing it. Now, when you have that doubter in your mind, there's lots of things that show up. It can be procrastination. Oh, I'll do it later, or I'll wait till the economy changes, or, maybe tomorrow. Or we start getting confused. I don't know which way to go. If I go this way, lots of fear around that. So procrastination, not knowing what to do, all of those are signs of the deep-seated doubts and fears that we have, because it immobilizes us. This is a really subtle thing right here. Sometimes the doubter will come out as a protector. No, I just want you to be safe. If you take that step, something might happen to you, and I want to make sure nothing happens to you. So I want you to be safe. So maybe you shouldn't. Or it comes out as an obligation. For example, this is what I've heard from a couple of people as, well, I have a couple of small children, and if this doesn't work, it will put them at risk. Now, that's a valid concern. I'm not saying it's not a valid concern, but lots of people with small children have taken that action. If it's being used as an obligation or responsibility to keep you in your place, then that's really seated in fear. It's not really looking at it as an obligation, right? So you get that difference. And it can be your inner critic. Oh, you're not good enough. Or nobody wants this anyway. Or it can be the voice of cynicism or sarcasm, like, that's not good. That's not valuable. This is the Disney process. I'm just going to go through it really, really quickly, but we're going to talk about the evaluator, because Disney calls his inner critic, doubter, judge, protector. He calls it the evaluator. So he made it a little bit different in terminology. Someone that evaluates and helps you resolve like all of the things that could come up and go bad. But there are 3 archetypes that Walt Disney uses, and he actually has different places in his house where he goes to that room where he gets into that archetype and uses the energy from that archetype. The first one is the dreamer or the visionary. And that's where he dreams his dream and lets it go without limit, without bounds. Then he'll go to the evaluator and say, okay, what things could go wrong? What things do I have to plan for? What things could be challenges? What things could be obstacles? So he listens to that part of himself, and he brings other people in to punch holes into his dreams too. But only in this room can they do that. And then if he has problems that he needs to solve, he goes back to the dreamer room. And once he has a really good set of ideas, then he'll start to plan it out. And when things come up or pops up, he uses the evaluator again. So it's really about stepping into those archetypes and using those archetypes to give you the information that you need to help you progress your plan. The visionary is the dreamer. The realizer is the strategist and the planner. How am I going to do this? What is it going to take to do this? And the evaluator, he uses that as what could go wrong? What are the challenges? What do I need to address? And then he puts plans in place to address them. He doesn't let it stop him. He just makes a change or a shift, right? So that's the Disney process. Just to show you, when we do this workshop also, this workshop is a 10-step workshop. And the 10-step workshop includes looking at all of these 3 pieces, all of these archetypes. We call them something a little bit different. What the doubter does for us, it provides a list of objections to be addressed. It's not like, okay, all of these doubts are coming up, now what? They're there for you to look at and say, no, that doesn't really mean anything, or yes, this is something I need to listen to and I need to address it. So you can put a strategy in place for that. It gives us a list of obstacles to overcome and to keep us out of trouble, because if we listen to that doubter, there may be some value there to say, oh, this happened to this person. Okay, why did that happen? Let's see if I'm on that path or if I need to go in another direction. And so we can learn from that. It allows us to troubleshoot in advance. You've probably heard that whenever you're in a big project or something like that, not only do you have a plan to get there, but then you also look at what things might go wrong and put plans in place to address it. When we look at doubts, they usually fall into 2 categories. And I'm saying doubts and fears also. They can either be obstacles that we can address and need a strategy and a plan, or it can be a limiting belief. So there's 2 types that we're going to look at so that you know what to do with each one. The message here is to don't kill or suppress the doubter, because if you do that, try to suppress it and it stays in your subconscious mind, that's where then it comes up in self-sabotage, because it's there lurking anyway. You want to bring it out, you want to look at what the doubter has to say, you want to put things in place to address that. Also, we want to be able to put fear and doubt in its proper place. Fear and doubt is right now in the moment, in your reality, and you can put something in place to address it. If you take those fears and doubts and project it into your future, that's when it causes the problem too. That's where it can stop your dream. That's where it'll affect your future. So we're going to do an exercise. This exercise will help you build a relationship with your doubter, because your doubter has wisdom that you need to listen to. I'd like you to work with a partner. I'll just explain the exercise and I'll ask you to do it. What this does is it gets a lot of information out of your subconscious mind, because you're doing it in rapid fire. So what I'm going to ask you to do is exchange your workbook with your partner, because as you talk, your partner is going to take just keyword notes for you, just keyword notes, so that then you can go back and look at it and say, wow, did I really say that? And I think there were some surprises in our last workshop when people were saying, oh, okay, I said this, and then they were just like, oop. It's getting all of that stuff out into the subconscious mind. So this exercise is about sentence completion. Your partner will prompt you to say something, and you in the third person as your doubter will then respond. These are the sentences that we're going to cover. I would say, the way I sabotage Maya is. And so if Radiance were going to prompt Natasha, Radiance would say, okay, Natasha, the way I sabotage Natasha is. And then Natasha would say, the way I sabotage Natasha is by having her confused. The way I sabotage Natasha. And you want to say the whole sentence each and every time, because if not, you start slipping into who you are again. You want to say it as the third person. Sentence completion, it's a psychological, you probably know that it's a psychological exercise that you do just to get yourself out of the way, get into your subconscious mind to say some of the things that are probably there that you have suppressed or haven't listened to. You want to go through each one of these. We're going to give you about 30 seconds for each partner. As soon as you finish saying this as many times as you can in 30 seconds, then we'll switch, and then your partner will get to say, the way I sabotage Natasha is, and then say something. Okay? Got that? Does that make sense? I'll time it. So I'll tell you when to switch. So 30 seconds. So if, Robert, you're going to prompt Angela, then you would say, the way I sabotage Angela is, and then Angela will say, the way I sabotage Angela is by keeping her confused. If she starts slowing down, you keep prompting her again. But say the whole sentence. Okay? Got it? All right, and just say it as fast as you can. No analyzing at this point, even if it comes out as blah. Okay, go. Okay, wrap that up. Okay, switch partners. Keep your same workbook because you're going to do this several times. Okay, next partner, go. Okay, wrap that up. Okay, go on to the next statement. The partner who went first. When I'm running Maya's life, I make her really tired. When I'm running Maya's life, I keep her really confused. When I'm running Maya's life, I make her wear high heels that hurt her feet. Okay, wrap that one up. Okay, now switch partners. Next partner. Okay, wrap that one up. What I need from Maya is to listen better. What I need from Maya is to take me seriously. Did you have a question?
So on the doubting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on number 3 right there, still in the doubter.
Number 3 is what I need.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap that one up. I gave you a little bit of extra time on that because there were some questions. Okay, switch. Okay, wrap that one up. And the next one. My positive purpose for Maya is to keep her out of trouble. My positive purpose for Maya is that she think far ahead enough and handle some challenges. My positive purpose for Maya is to keep her out of jail. Okay, wrap that one up. Okay, and switch. Okay, let's wrap that one up, and you can thank your partner and get your workbook back. Read it over and just make sure you can understand the handwriting. What did you get out of that exercise, and why do you think we did that?
Listen to our subconscious, that inner critic.
Yes, all of that. Bring it to the surface to expose it.
We're sick as our secrets.
Yep. Because once it's exposed, what can you do with it? Once you identify something, then you can handle it, right? Because if it's underlying there, it just keeps eating at you and gnawing at you, depleting your energy, making you tired, making you scared, and then you can't do anything about it because you're really not identifying it. You don't know what that is there. But once you identify it, guess what? You can handle it. You're not given anything bigger than you can handle. You are bigger than anything that comes up. Any obstacle that comes up, you are much bigger than that. Okay, the doubter is a part of you. So it's part of what remembers those bad experiences. It's part of you that voices the conditioning that you've had before growing up. You know, like you're not good enough, or you're not smart, or you're not this. You know, all of that conditioning that we get in society, in the school system, sometimes from our parents, even though they love us, they'll say some things that are hurtful, and as children we just take them in and then we start believing them. So the doubter is that voice. It's that accumulated voice of our experiences, of people that have said things to us, all of that's in our subconscious that needs a voice to be heard so that we can look at it and handle it. So here's the thing, and here's the question. In your reality, there will always be fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs, because as you progress, as you expand more, new things are going to pop up. And by making that intention and stepping forward, those things will come up that have been hidden. But those are part of your reality, not part of your future. You can handle them. So the question is, are you committed more to your reality or to your vision? Where's your commitment? Part of what the doubter does, it puts a certain language that's in our head. And sometimes that language says can't, like you can't, or I can't, or it's impossible, or if this happens, or that will never happen, or this always happens. And that kind of language that's ingrained in us, if we could switch that, just by changing those words, it really starts changing our operating system inside. So that starts shifting a little bit at a time. So you can change your words to say, okay, if you've had difficulty in the past, you can say, I have had difficulty in the past, and now I'm going to address it or change it. Or, I haven't been able to do this yet, but I'm going to learn how to do it. And so just by changing that language from if you to when you, if puts that doubt there, to when you, then it really changes your frame of mind and how you're thinking about something. And there's this little story about Mariah Carey, and her mom she always said to her, when you, not if you. She never would let her use if. And so it's always when you become a singer, or when you do this, or when all of that. So it's when. It's just a matter of time. It's not that it won't ever happen. And so that's a good way to start thinking about things and also catch yourself. You need to be aware of the language that you're using, especially when it comes to your dreams and your vision. Listen to how you speak about it, because that is going to indicate where you're going to go with it. That is going to indicate if you believe it or not. You want to really be aware of that language that's coming out subconsciously and catch yourself. So what are some new words to use for you? I just want you to write those down as a little exercise. What are some words that you can use? 7. Okay. What are some words that you can use that will shift your thinking about something, shift your frame of mind? Okay, what are some language changes for you? What will you start saying now? How will you say it?
I have all the resources I need to do everything I want.
You do.
Say, how can I instead of I can't.
Right. So it's not about if you can, it's about how can you. Who else?
How will I?
How will you? Right. So it's not that you won't, it's how again. Yes.
Now that I am already successful.
Right, exactly. Now that I am, then what? Then you do this and that, rather than what if, or if I'm not.
Then just the word yes, and we and us.
Right.
I like being inclusive.
Yes, absolutely. They did this research, and it's really kind of strange, but they said one of the most popular words that gives people a feeling of camaraderie and teamwork and make you seem like you're a team player, someone easy to work with, is if you say yes or yeah to whatever they say. Yeah. Even if you just say yeah, you're not agreeing with them, but you're acknowledging them, just saying yeah or yes puts a different perspective in how people view you. They probably spent millions of dollars on that research. We could have told them already, right? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely capable. And that's how we have to train our brain again. And I know, when we're talking about this, sometimes we have some things that pop in and you don't quite believe it. Well, guess what? Say it until you believe it. Yes, Corey, you were going to say something.
I used to do that.
Yes, you used to. Right. And now I do this. Yeah. You can replace that language. That's what's great about the brain. You can retrain it easily. You can retrain it with repetition. You can retrain it with lots of positive words. You can retrain it with energy. Because when you're in that positive state, it produces those alpha brain waves, which are really, really good for creativity and putting things forth, right? Okay, so now that we've had this discussion and working with the doubter, I'm going to ask you to go back to page 4 in your handout. and just make a list of obstacles that are obstacles for you right now. Just make a list, a brainstorm list, and we'll work with the type later, but I just want you to make your list of what you perceive as your biggest obstacles or fears or whatever that is. And just make your list. We just want to get them all out so we can look at them. And when you think of those obstacles, think of them in reference to what you want to achieve in life. Whether it's a business, whether it's something that you want to do, whatever that is, think of what obstacles may come up for you. Get out as many as you can. It's just for you, and I'll tell you what to do with it after we do another exercise, but it's just for you to look at and how you want to use that information. So you don't have to share it with anyone if you don't want to. Okay, who had a really long list? Like they filled the page. Who had a really short list? Okay. All right. If you have a really long list, don't be overwhelmed with it, because we're going to show you how to take care of some of those really quickly, and some of those will take a little bit more time and planning. But it's just to get it all out, not to overwhelm you. One of the success tools is really using all of our failures as learnings, as lessons. And many times our doubts come up because of perceived failures that we've had. Because when we have a failure, there's this residue that just kind of hangs on, like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Oh man, that was so embarrassing. Or oh man, all of that. But we all go through that. We all have failures. And here's some quotes about failure. This one, fail forward faster. I just love that one, because it's fail forward faster. You keep failing, but you keep moving forward. It's about that forward movement. But the key is we really have to learn from that failure. What was the lesson there for us? What was that failure trying to tell us? What is it that we have to do differently the next time? Because if we don't get a lesson out of it, guess what? We'll probably repeat it. And it will leave a little residue because we didn't get through it. It was a failure and we didn't get that lesson. So now it's hanging on like, oh man, that was so terrible. How many have really failed big at something? Yep. Me too. Quite a few times. And at the time, it was just devastating. I mean, it was devastating. But what I got out of that was a lot of learning, and getting through that learning and being really diligent about getting what I need to get. Once I got what that lesson was, guess what? Things changed. And I was able to move forward. But not getting that lesson, we stay stuck. And what happens when we stay stuck is that then there's that tendency to repeat that lesson over and over. How many have repeated lessons over and over again? Yep. It's like Groundhog's Day. Remember that movie? Groundhog's Day. You get over it. Okay, that's what it's like. So we have to get what the lesson is in that failure. It's there for a reason. This one I really like, because this has to do with this. Ray Strada wrote a book, and he was in high tech. And what he said was the only competitive advantage companies will have in the future is the ability to fail and learn faster than the competition. Because nobody's going to be perfect. No one's going to know it all. And it's how can we fail faster and get up and keep moving forward. And even Albert Einstein, anyone who's never made a mistake has never really tried anything new. So getting those lessons is all a part of it, but we have to look at it as a learning and as a lesson. Because failure is a necessary part of succeeding. If you're not failing at something when you're trying something new, you're not trying hard enough. You're not expanding enough. You're not moving forward enough. So we can use our failures and our doubts as success tools. We can always use our strengths as tools. What I'd like you to do in your workbook, and I think it's on we're going to skip 5 for now, but page 6. There's a place for you to write any perceived failures that you have and what the lesson is that you got out of it. And then we're going to talk about strengths for a moment after you do that. So go ahead and list some things that you believed were failures in your life, big ones, little ones, it doesn't matter. But get that lesson. Write down what that lesson was for you. Who would like to share one of their lessons? If you have a failure and you're trying to get a lesson, what does that mean? It's like when I lost all that money in the stock market and retirement, everything, and I had a big mortgage to pay and everything. What was the lesson there? The lesson that I got out of it was, when I say I want to do something, I have to speak, in order to be in integrity, I have to speak from experience. I can't go to someone that has lost their house, has lost their job and say, oh, all you have to do is this, How would that come over? I believed that the lesson there was for me to experience in a way that I could be in a place where other people were who I was trying to help. Now that was pretty harsh. If I'd known that beforehand, I'd say, don't sign me up for that one. But that was part of my purpose to do that. So I did. And not until I figured that lesson out and started shifting a little bit, then things started moving forward for me and started expanding and the income started and all of that. So sometimes lessons are pretty harsh, but getting that lesson and acknowledging it causes the shift. It seriously causes the shift. Another lesson that I had was when I was working for a major company, which shall remain nameless, Agilent Technologies. I was managing this worldwide project. We were spending $1 million a month on that project. The guy that was the director of it wanted me to lie about the numbers because he felt that if we told the truth that we were losing money on the project and the project was going to take longer than 18 months, which meant $18 million, that they would cancel the project. But if they didn't know about it until towards the end, they'd still fund it again. And I thought, well, they need to make informed decisions. And so he said, well, if you tell them that, if you stand up there, he said, you're gone, you're fired. I'll make your life so miserable. And so I stood up there in front of the board and I told him the exact numbers. And yeah, he made my life miserable. But while he's making my life miserable, I learned the biggest lesson. And the biggest lesson was that I really needed to stay in my power and stay grounded and stay in integrity because I felt that I was operating from principles of believing that rather than giving in to the pressure. And once I got through that lesson, I hated this guy. I'll tell you, there were months that I just hated him. And every time I saw him coming, I'd feel like I'd wanted to puke. And it was until I got through that and say, okay, there's a lesson here. It's not about him. It's not about him at all. He's just a catalyst or a player or whatever. Once I got through that, I got the very best job in my whole life, and I got a trip to Barcelona as part of the program. It was an MBA program in Barcelona with Stanford University and IESA, which is the European School of Business, and I got funded to go there. So that was just amazing. So that's what lessons can do. Okay, strengths. We want to look at the other side also. We want to look at how we can use our strengths because we all have skills, talents, capabilities. We've got all of this going for us, and too many times we don't acknowledge it. We say, oh yeah, I can do this. Oh yeah. But we really have all of our life experiences. We've got great life experiences. So from those life experiences, how can we take those life experiences, take those strengths, things that come easily and natural to you, or things that you had to really work at but you got really good at? How can you take those and expand on them and then use them to accomplish your dream? And it's about accomplishing your dream and living in your purpose. How can you use those skills and those talents and those gifts that you have and just expand them a little bit more and use them? So that's the next exercise, because we want to be able to capture our strengths. Do it as a little inventory of what you're really good at. What people say you're good at. How can you expand that? How can you use that to accomplish your dream? So go ahead and do that. At least for a few of those, be sure to write down how you're going to expand it and how you're going to use that to help you accomplish your dream. We need to be able to connect all of the many things that we know and do and be able to apply it to something bigger. Would someone like to share what one of their strengths are and how they're going to use it?
They're nurturing sensitive, and I'll use my strengths to attract others who are drawn in by my caring, nurturing nature.
Cool. And you're going to draw them in for the purpose of being clients?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay. All right. When you decide, put that down because that's like setting the intention for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we want to be really specific because as it applies to our dream, the more specific, the more clarity that we have, the more the universe knows what we want and puts it out into that field of infinite possibilities so that we can have exactly what we want come back to us.
Well, it could be clients, but it also could be people to work with on the environment.
Right, exactly. And you did a really good job that last time. Remember when you didn't think a lot of people were going to show up, and look at all the people showed up just because you went after them.
I know I did.
Yes, yes, you did a great job with that. Anybody else wants to share a strength and how they're going to use it? All right, so Angela said, for those of you that couldn't hear, she's very soft-spoken. That's okay. Is that she's very easygoing and approachable, and she can use that to create a business where people will see her as approachable and inviting and all of that to create that business welcoming kind of environment, right?
And also within the culture of the business.
Oh, and within the culture of the business.
Work with me.
Yes.
Feel free to communicate.
Right. Right.
Great culture in the business.
Right. And that's one of the key attributes of a great leader is approachability. Because so many leaders are not approachable. And so then people won't tell them things. They won't be able to rally the troops as much. You know, they're like sitting on this pedestal in the ivory tower. But no, when you're approachable, that's when people want to work with you because they feel easy about it. They feel safe. It's about that safety thing. Okay, great. We're going to go to examining beliefs. But before we do, just want to read you this, and it's in your handout also, but I just love reading it. It's called An Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters by Portia Nelson. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find the way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I can get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. That's how our lessons can help us and can help shortcut things for us by realizing what that lesson is and then walking down another street, taking another path. Okay, now we're going to examine some of your beliefs. Where do your beliefs come from? Were you born with them? Childhood. Our beliefs can come from things our parents told us, things we learned in school, all of our social conditioning, from our family of origin, our peers, our siblings, all of that. I grew up in a very superstitious family, and you wouldn't believe some of the things that I believed. Okay, beliefs are never neutral. And a belief is something that we hold as true. No matter where it came from, our belief is something that we hold as true. Our brain believes it. Our body believes it. We believe it. And if we've had setbacks or disappointments, sometimes that adds to our belief system. Because if we've had a big disappointment and someone said, you can't do that, guess what? And then you have a disappointment or a failure, that kind of reinforces that belief. So it continually gets reinforced. But here's something to look for and to look at, is that why we hang on to negative beliefs if we know better. And many times we hang on to a negative belief is because in some way, shape, or form there is a payoff. So what could that be like, a payoff for a negative belief? Why would we hold on to something?
Because it's habitual, we're used to it. It's our comfort zone.
It's our comfort zone. That's the key. It's our comfort zone. We hang on to it because if we change that belief, guess what? Then we'd have to do something different. And sometimes those negative beliefs keep us in that place because it's comfortable. It's the status quo. We won't move out of that comfort zone. Won't go into an area that could be risky. So we stay there and we hang on to it. One extreme, knew this woman who was ill all the time, but every time she started getting better, her family stopped paying attention to her. So she had this belief ingrained in her that if she stayed sick, and so that negative belief was reinforced by having that attention or not having that attention. The voice of the doubter also reinforces our negative beliefs. And if we have a limiting belief, that will stop your vision. Because if there's anything in your consciousness, subconscious or not, that says that you can't, guess what? You won't. So whatever you believe will happen, happens. It's like Henry Ford said, if you believe that you can or if you believe that you can't, guess what? You're right. And our beliefs can be disguised or subtle or show up loudly. Oh, what's a belief that could be disguised? A projection.
Like your partner's not good enough, and really you're afraid that it's you that's not good enough.
Yep. So you're disguising it, you're projecting onto someone else, and when you have a belief that's disguised, sometimes you think it's something else, like you were saying. You think that maybe it's your partner, but then maybe it's you, and you don't want to look at that. Or it can show up really loudly, like blast, blast, blast. I believe this. I believe that. And sometimes when we protest too much about what we believe in, there's something behind that we don't quite believe because we have to keep saying it. So there's 3 universal beliefs: scarcity, inadequacy, and trust. It's like at some level we all share those 3 beliefs. Scarcity, there's not enough to go around. The economy is showing us that big time right now, right? There's not enough to go around. People don't have enough food. There's not enough jobs. There isn't enough money. The government's shut down. All of that. Scarcity. Inadequacy, I'm not good enough. I don't have value. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good enough. And trust, or lack of trust. Everything's risky out there. I can't trust this. You know where the biggest belief of trust or mistrust is? It's that we don't trust ourselves. Many times because of our past experiences or our failures or people telling us, we don't trust ourselves. We suppress our intuition. We start having doubts about what we're thinking and what we're doing and what we want to do. We don't trust ourselves. We don't have that confidence to step forward and to take action. Positive thoughts carry a different energy. I think this was in Deepak Chopra's book, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, where he says the chemical makeup of tears that are tears of joy are very different than tears of sadness. So even our body produces different chemical makeup when we're in a happy state or when we're in a negative state. Also, it affects the way we think. When we're positive, our brain operates at maximum efficiency, creativity, alpha brain waves, those endorphins are going. We feel different. And our most profound and our deepest empowering beliefs live in our soul, or if you want to say lives in our heart. That's our deepest desire because our soul really knows who we are. We are divine beings. We are here for an experience. We are here for lessons. But we have all of the talents, all of the skills, all of the resources to do what we came here to do. We need to believe that. We need to shift our belief from we can't to knowing that we can, and we have everything to be able to do that. So whenever you're dreaming your dream or your deepest beliefs and you find doubts creeping in, put them in their place. Doubts belong in your reality in the moment so you can look at them and handle them. If you don't believe in your dream, who will? Do each one of you, can you say there, I have a dream and I believe in that dream. I believe in that dream enough to take an action on that dream. I believe in that dream enough that I'm going to look at my fears and doubts and limiting beliefs and put them in the place that they belong so I can handle them. Okay, so now we're going to do an exercise. And when you made that obstacle list on page 5, we're going to put a type there for them. So on all of the obstacles that you have on page 5, in the column, right column that says type, put a B if it's a limiting belief, or an S if it's an obstacle that needs a strategy, or if it's both, then you can put BS. How do you distinguish the two? So let's just talk about that for a moment. If it is a fear or a doubt, you can ask the question of, can I do something about this? If it's a limiting belief, it's something that you believe, and until you change that belief, you really can't do anything about it. Up at the top where you say, I can't do this. If you can't do it because you're not capable, then that's an obstacle that needs a strategy, because then you can learn how to do it. If you say, I can't do this, I've never been able to do it, I'll never be able to do it, then it's a belief, a limiting belief. So you see the difference? Like, I don't have enough money. That's an obstacle that needs a strategy. Okay, how can you get that money? How can you make that money? What can you do about that? Or, it's too hard. It's hard. It's always been hard. It always will be hard. That's a belief. You believe that it's hard. Or, I don't know enough about starting a business. That needs a strategy. It's an obstacle. You can learn how to do it. An obstacle that's a doubt or a fear is an obstacle in need of a strategy. Anything that you believe strongly that you really can't do anything about unless you change that belief, it's a limiting belief. So go ahead and put whether it's a belief or an obstacle in need of a strategy, or both, on your obstacle list. Page 4. Okay, now just take a couple of those that are in need of a strategy and go to the next page, and the next page will look like this. So you put the obstacle there. I don't know how to do that. What's the strategy? Learn how to do it. And what actions can I take? And you want to be able to put some actions. Just brainstorm for yourself what you might be able to do about that particular obstacle. Because anything that's a belief we'll handle in the next exercise. So these are just for obstacles in need of a strategy. A fear or a doubt, but something that you can do something about. Okay, who has an obstacle that they'd like to share? What strategy did you put in place, and what actions can you who wants to share an example?
I just say a lack of time.
Lack of time.
So create more time by making different choices.
Okay, great. That's a good one, because that brings up a good point. What Taria said was, I don't have enough time. How can she make time? She can make time by saying no to those things that are not important to her dream. And by also, looking at an inventory of all the things that came up, all the things that you do that do not affect your dream, list them down there and just do an inventory. Okay, am I going to take this off my plate? Am I going to move this off or give this to somebody else? Or this is not important enough? I'm not going to do it anymore. Saying no to some of those things that take up your time that are not important is creating a bigger yes for your dream. And that's what you want to do. Create those big yeses for your dream. So whatever is going to impact your dream, try to find a strategy and take some actions on it so you can be in action. Then the universe will take you seriously that you want to do something about it. In that list, do you have anything there, and this would be your obstacle list on the previous page, do you have any there that you typed as limiting beliefs? Does everyone have one of those? Do you have several? What I want you to do is look at anything that you've labeled as a limiting belief and see if there's a pattern there. Or if it's very different, it doesn't matter. But look, see if there's a pattern. And sometimes the pattern will fall into those 3 universal beliefs that we looked at before. scarcity, there's not enough. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough that. Or it could be inadequacy. Nobody will want this, or, if I do this, they'll make fun of me. Or so you want to look at any of your limiting beliefs, and if you can identify the pattern, that will be so extremely helpful to you, because then you'll start observing as things come up. You'll say, oh, this belongs in that pattern, and then you'll know what to do with it. Because we do have recurring patterns, and that way we can address those recurring patterns with one shift of a limiting belief. My recurring pattern for years was, I'm not good enough. I used to sit in meetings and just be very quiet, not say anything, because I didn't have anything valuable to say. Everybody else would talk and they had lots of value, but I didn't. And then when I tried to speak up, people wouldn't listen. I remember sitting at this one meeting, I reported to the general manager, and I had 11 peers, and they were all guys. I was the only woman in the group. Of course, it's hard to say anything with a whole bunch of guys, because I was like, they kind of give you that kind of thing, roll of the eyes kind of thing. There was this one guy that was really very collaborative and a nice guy and all of that, and we would sit next to each other because we shared notes. And so then I started telling him my ideas, and he'd say it, and then they'd accept it. But then I got over that. I started saying them on my own. That was something that I had to learn. I had to get over that fear of saying something and have them ridicule or have them not take it seriously. That was a really big lesson for me, to put myself out there like that with all of those guys. If you have a pattern for your limiting belief, or have at least one limiting belief, we're going to use it in the next exercise. So just go ahead and pick that, whatever it is, whether it's an overarching one like scarcity, inadequacy, or whatever that is, or if it's a specific limiting belief that you have. And let's go to page 9. Okay, when we have limiting beliefs, sometimes we can remember, if we think far back enough, not into a previous life, just in this life, to where that started. Where did we first think that thought? Or where did we start believing that? And that's what we want to do. We want to look at, what was that belief that we had, that we've had for so long? What caused that belief? Where did it originate? And then also, how can we reframe that? So there's a little exercise here, and I'm just going to go through the example. One of my beliefs when I was a kid, and even growing up and going to school, was that I couldn't do a lot of things. Like, I couldn't play tennis, I couldn't play volleyball. I was just so uncoordinated, last one chosen on the team. Nobody wanted me on the team because I would fall over myself or hit the ball wrong or something like that. And then I started thinking, well, why can't I do things like that? I was physically okay. There was no physical thing that was stopping me. But then I remembered when I was a little kid, and I used to go to my grandfather's farm, and there was lots of dangerous stuff on the farm, including little bull calves and all kinds of stuff. And I used to want to climb up on this little, it's like a little corral where all the animals were, and trying to get in. And then I'd try to run down the little river and do all kinds of stuff. And all I heard all day long was, I couldn't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it got into my head that I couldn't do a lot of things, especially if it was something physical that I wanted to do. But what my dad was really saying was, you really shouldn't do that because you'll get hurt. Or he could have said, well, maybe you don't want to do that right now, or if you do that, just be really careful and show me how to do it. But it was always, you can't do that, you can't do that. So I grew up thinking I couldn't do a lot of physical things, like I was physically uncoordinated. It took me a long time to learn how to dance too. But I do remember that. I do remember going to my grandfather's farm, and I was about 4 or 5 years old and hearing that. It was like all summer long. And so then I believed that it was true. But now as an adult, I can go back and I can look at it and say, well, this is where it started. This is why I had that belief. It came from Dad. I remember the first time 4 or 5 years old, but now I can reframe it. My dad was really trying to protect me. He was trying to keep me safe. He was trying to tell me that there were some things that if I wanted to do, I need to be really careful, or I would get hurt, or I would get injured. So that's what I'd like you to do with your overarching limiting belief, or a specific limiting belief that you have. think back and think of your early remembrance of what that belief is. Where did it come from, and how old were you? What was reinforcing that belief? And then also look at, okay, now that I'm adult, looking back on it, how can I reframe that? What's the lesson there? Or how can I change that so I don't believe that anymore? So go ahead and do that. At the bottom of that page, page 9, there's a box there. Make sure that you do fill out your new empowering belief. What are you changing that limiting belief into? What are you replacing it with? Does everyone have a new and empowering belief that they wrote down? Who wants to share? Because when you share vocally, and having our attention and giving our attention and our energy to that, it puts a lot of power in that new and empowering belief. So who wants that energy on their new and empowering belief? Say it loudly.
I can be a designer of my life and guide and show others how to live a wholesome, fearless life by showing them techniques that have helped me release old wounds, suppressions, and pains.
Yes, and so it is. Beautiful. Yes.
I am worthy to receive love from people I choose. I am desirable, lovable, and wanted for my charming, loving self.
Yes, and so it is.
So it is.
You're wanted for your charming, loving self. Who else? Mariah. You knew. That's why you were looking up over there.
That I am good enough and good at things that I set my mind to.
Yes. Great, and so it is. Do you want to share one? Angela?
I am more than capable.
You are more than capable. Yes, you are. And so it is.
And so it is.
Robert, do you have one?
Sure. I am in balance. I am in respect with my resources.
You are in balance and in respect with your resources. Yes. And so it is. We have a choice in what we believe. And what we believe creates our reality and creates our destiny. And so if we have that as a choice, why wouldn't we take it? It's about examining the things that you believe and look at the beliefs that don't serve you and choosing to believe something else, something new and different. It's like building that habit, building that practice of believing in yourself and really reinforcing what you believe in the beliefs that support your dream or vision. We're not going to do any muscle testing tonight. I don't know if any of you do this, but I use a little pendulum rather than muscle testing just to tune myself in and see what it is, if I'm on track or off track with things. Muscle testing can do the same thing because it's like your own self-lie detector test. That's another way you can tell if you're on the right track, if you're really believing what you say you believe. We're about ready to wrap up. And just a couple of closing thoughts, and then I want to share something with you. Right now, our society, our environment, our economy is in a state of negative belief. And we see that all around us. We see all of the fears and doubts. I mean, of people wanting to do things but not thinking it's the right time. We see that all of the things going on just kind of reinforces those negative beliefs. So I'm just going to do a really short visualization. We are now going on a journey into the attic of your mind. So just relax and take a deep breath. And sink into your chair or wherever you are. And take another deep breath. Another. And as you relax deeper and deeper, know that you are safe and nurtured. Know that you are going on a fantastic journey, a journey of transformation. So feel yourself leave the room. And as you leave the room, you leave everything behind. And you go into the attic of your mind, a journey of memory, a journey of discovery. Continue breathing rhythmically. And as you enter the attic and you look around and you see that it's kind of dusty and cobwebs and toys from the past, pictures of friends, lots of memories there, lots of objects that you really cherished at one point in your life. And as you walk through, you see a lot of things that meant something to you and a lot of things that didn't. You see things that created joy in your life and other things that created pain. But it was all part of your life experience, all cherished. And as you walk further into the attic, you look in the corner and you see an old wooden pedestal. And on this wooden pedestal is a large book. And the book is opened to a specific page. So you become very curious and you walk over to that book and you read what's on the page. And you see that it's one of your beliefs. And this is a belief that has been nagging at you for a while. This is a belief that has been stopping you from fulfilling your dream. And as you see that belief, you realize that this no longer serves you. And now you can get rid of that belief. So as you look at that belief on the page, you decide to rip it out. You rip the page out. And you strike a match and you light the match to the page. And you see the page go up in flames and poof, it goes into thousands of ashes that fall on the floor. And as you see those ashes on the floor, you feel a sense of relief, a sense of burden being taken off of you. You feel that limiting belief gone. It's no longer there. You know it's not there. And when you tore out that page, the next page was blank, a clean white page. And so now you decide to write a new and empowering belief, a belief that will serve you, a belief that will support you, a belief that will progress you on your most important dreams. And so you write that new empowering belief on that page. And you step back and you look at the words on the page and you repeat that new empowering belief 3 times. And now you take another deep breath and you feel that new empowering belief in every cell of your body. You feel it in your energy field. You feel it in your consciousness. You know that it is truly a new belief of yours. You now know that what you believe is a choice. No matter what you have believed in the past, no matter what you believe now in this moment, if it no longer serves you, you can change that belief. This new and empowering belief has inspired you to look at all of your beliefs to see if they serve you. This new empowering belief has given you confidence and courage to make changes in your life, to completely transform, to achieve your dreams. So as you take another deep breath, you know it's time to go, time to leave the attic. But you know that you can always come back here. Whenever you want to change a belief that does not serve you, you can always come back here. Rip out another page in your book of beliefs and write a new empowering belief. And as you take another deep breath, you feel yourself being drawn back into the room. You feel your body sitting in the chair, lying down. You sense the other people in the room. And you know that you're happy and safe and confident with your new and empowering belief. And so it is. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes and write your new and empowering belief in your notebook. And on page 10, if you want to take any notes about any new empowering beliefs, there's a place that says, what you believe is a choice. Some of my new beliefs are, and you can take notes, you can write them there. Page 10, in the middle of page 10, it says, what you believe is a choice, and you can write some of your new beliefs there. For those of you who have not taken any of my workshops, that's a special offer next month. We're going to be offering Create the Life You Love, a 1 full-day workshop that's going to include all 10 steps. These are 2 of the steps, but all 10 steps to get from your intention all the way through coming out of it with an action plan for your new life, your new project, your new career, or whatever that is. It's a full-day program. Teach at Ramashala on November the 9th, in case anyone here is interested. It's an amazingly low price. It's $49.95 plus tax, and includes a fabulous lunch that Robert brings and snacks. It's a rock bottom offer because normally this workshop goes for $199 or sometimes $299 in California for 1-day workshop. Okay, so let's stand in a circle. So as you join the circle, be sure to bring your new and empowering belief, either this one or any other one that you may have, or one that you just now thought of, and bring it to the circle. And we are all going to state our new and empowering belief and have everyone affirm that for us. And so it is.